afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. So, folks, this is going to be an interesting one and a little bit of a long one here. So, I got a little bit triggered this morning when I saw Miss Eve Barlow and A.H. going off of the whole Free Britney movement in regards to her conservatorship that her father has over her, and comparing it to A.H.'s so-called situation with that. Now, I am sorry, but if you have never been in a conservatorship, or if you've never even known or even looked into what one even actually is, then you have no room to talk whatsoever. At all. It is not the same situation. So we are going to first go into exactly what conservatorship, also known as guardianship, is, and how it relates to her whole situation. So, basically, and this is something I know quite a deal about due to the fact that I was the advocacy specialist for my state for so long, and many people that I would serve had guardians due to being declared incompetent to make their own medical and day-to-day life decisions. So I figured I'd probably be a good person to go ahead and go over exactly what that is, what it means to a person's life, and why it has absolutely no bearing at all into the regards of what A.H. so-called went through, or what Eve Barlow thinks it is. So let's begin. Conservatorship is a legal concept in the United States. A guardian or protector is appointed by a judge to manage the financial affairs and or daily life of another due to physical or mental limitations or old age. A person under the conservatorship is a conservatee, a term that can refer to an adult. So, basically what that means is it's a removal of a person's complete autonomy as an adult. We're talking having to ask for permission for as simple thing as being able to go to the grocery store in your own car, depending on what the limitations are on your particular conservatorship happens to be. You are ineligible to vote. You are ineligible to decide where you live, what house you have, what you are able to eat and what you are not in some cases, who is able to visit you and who not. Basically, you have no control whatsoever over your own life, and if somebody decides to abuse the power of the guardianship, you have no legal say into any matters regarding yourself. If you have a decent guardian, then they'll let you have input. But this is not always the case, and a lot of people will abuse their guardianship to exploit the person under it for money, for homes, for expensive tastes. It's something that gives someone, in my opinion, way too much power over an adult. It can be all too easily exploited. So let's go over the Britney situation, and we're going to talk about how it has absolutely nothing to do with A.H. or this whole accuse all men BS that they are pushing at all. This is an entirely different subject. A relevant subject, yes. But this is an issue that has been worked on with the mental illness groups, advocacy groups, and the disability rights advocacy groups. It has nothing to do with men versus women. It has to do with what people consider as competent in regards to people like us being able to make our own decisions regarding our own life. So we're going to go over the Brittany timeline, and I want you to keep in mind what I just told you what conservatorship is. Give me just a moment here. Okay. Moving to the timeline. Okay. Here, I need to move back a little bit. Bear with me. I had it pulled up earlier, then my computer kind of went out, so let's do it. Alright. So, this is from the insider.com, by the way. Now, I have still not quite learned yet, folks, how to be able to turn what I'm reading to you over. So I will simply try to include the link in what I'm reading to you here in a moment. Hold up, it's got to load. Oh, goodness. It's going to take a minute here. While this is loading, let's talk about the so-called AH incidents. So, as we know, in no time during their marriage or before did Depp at any point in time file legally in order to have AH declared incompetent, nor at any time did he have legal rights to her assets, legal rights to make decisions on who she is and is not to associate with, what she ate, where she lived, who she visited. So, even with the incidents that she reported on, it literally has absolutely no bearing on this. So, here we go. Now it's loaded up. Gotta go back up. I was reading this earlier. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to kind of read this article to you here. Britney Spears' conservatorship, also known as legal guardianship as we knew it in my office, was implemented in 2008 after Spears experienced several mental breakdowns. If you all remember a few years ago in the early 2000s where she had shaved her head and was doing damage to that car, this is what this is in reference to. In order to put someone under a guardianship, you have to be able to prove to the court of law that they are incompetent of making their own decisions and that they are a danger to themselves and their own health as well as others. So, when she was originally put under this, that those incidents that were in the public eye is what they used in order to do so. Now, under the arrangement, Spears has no legal control over her state or financial or personal assets. Those rights were granted to her father and a lawyer. Now remember, what this doesn't mention, and what we went over a little bit ago, is that also includes decisions in her day-to-day life, including in up to even the visitors that she is able to receive and where she lives. Any major decisions regarding her career she is not allowed to make legally on her own. Now, some says that her opinion is taken into account in regards to business deals, but we don't really know that for sure right now. All we have is the lawyer and the father's word for it. Okay. Alright. While supporters of the Free Britney movement says Spears is being manipulated, those involved in the conservatorship say she's being very involved in decision making. Again, that is their word, and we all know with the Deb case how far we can take people's word, right? Okay. In 2020, the conservatorship was extended 4 times, and Spears requested her father be removed as conservator twice. Both times she was declined. So see, you can already see how her situation is completely different. Okay, now on to the article. Britney Spears hasn't legally controlled her life and fortune for 12 years. The conservatorship, a legal guardianship typically enacted for those incapable of making their own decisions, was approved in the Los Angeles Superior Court in 2008 after Spears had several public mental breakdowns. The arrangement put her estate, financial assets, and personal assets under the control of her father and a lawyer. Again, in the ideal situation, this would be fine, but people are power hungry and greedy, so you can see where this can go bad quickly. Okay. So in 2020, Spears' conservatorship has extended 4 times. Most recently, a judge opted to extend it in its current form through February the 1st of next year. Spears has also requested to have her father removed as conservator twice this year, only to be declined by the judge both times. Since its implementation, the conservatorship has generated a lot of controversy among Spears' fans. Some think she's being controlled and manipulated, which has fueled the Free Britney movement. But those close to Spears have told several media outlets. Hold up just a moment. Lost my space here. Here we are. Over the years that the conservatorship is meant to help the pop icon and that she's very involved in business decisions. Moving on here. A recent court filing revealed that Spears wants her future court hearings open to the public. Reported Natalie Morin for Refinery 29. Her lawyer wrote that the Free Britney movement is far from being a conspiracy theory. A representative for Spears didn't immediately respond to Business Insider's request for comment on this story. See, that's very interesting. If you're in a conservatorship and you want, when you are trying to switch who your guardian is to be out in public, you have to wonder why, right? What is it exactly that she wants to get out? And we already went over how much power a guardian can have over someone. That's in a full guardianship. We'll go over partial guardianships here in a little bit. Here is a look inside the complex arrangement that is her conservatorship. Okay, so we go back to 2008. During this time, she was spotted driving her SUV with her son Sean on her lap and not strapped in a car seat. She also famously shaved her head and was seen hitting a photographer's car with an umbrella. In 2008, she also made several trips to rehab and was committed twice to a psychiatric hospital, also known as a 5150 hold in California where she lives. Laura Newberry reported for the Los Angeles Times. Newberry spent 3 months examining Spears' conservatorship. This tumultuous period led to Spears' court-approved conservatorship, which implemented at the end of 2008. Her father, Jeannie Spears, petitioned for an emergency temporary conservatorship after Britney's psychiatric hold, Newberry reported. A conservatorship is also known as a legal guardianship. It's granted to those who are incapable of making decisions, such as people with mental disabilities and those with dementia. Law experts told Newberry a conservatorship was unusual for someone as young and productive as Spears. Now we're getting into it. Under conservatorship, Spears has no control over financial or personal decisions. That power was granted to her father, Jamie Spears, and her attorney, Andrew Wallet. James Spears was granted oversight of her estate and health, which involves everything from negotiating business opportunities to restricting visitors, while attorney Wallet was assigned to help her financial assets. Wallet once called the arrangement a hybrid business model. Interesting, Newberry said this could mean that the conservatorship has helped Britney Spears seal business deals she wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Is that a fact? I wonder. How about you? She was a pretty hot commodity even in the early 2000s. I think she could have still nailed those deals. In 2019, Jamie Spears requested to extend his daughter's conservatorship to more than 10 states, including Hawaii, Florida, and Louisiana, Newberry reported. The exact details of the arrangement aren't known, but all of Spears' financial decisions must be documented in court reports. A court and your guardian rules everything is basically what a guardianship means. No autonomy of any kind. Britney Spears' most recent financial documents showed that as of 2018, she had a net worth of $59 million. That year, she spent $400,000 on living expenses and $66,000 on household supplies. She also spent $1.1 million on her legal and conservator fees that year. Her father took home $128,000 of that, according to the documents cited by E.T. The conservatorship is intended not only to prevent Spears from making poor financial and business decisions, but also to protect her from potentially toxic people. Now this is what I'm talking about with media bias. It seems like this person is completely buying into Jamie Spears' bullshit. You don't get to control what kind of people go in and out of your kids' lives. They're a freaking adult. But with guardianship, you can. It grants you complete control. Which means, if she were to cry out for help, she has to be very cunning about it. Spears was granted a restraining order against Sam Lufty in 2009 and 2019. He was accused of saying he was her former manager and being a bad influence during her mental breakdown, CNN reported, citing a court filing. The pop star's lawyers accused Lufty of attempting to insinuate himself into Miss Spears' life with disastrous results for her. Lisa Respers France reported for CNN, citing court filings. He was also accused of sending her mom disparaging texts to disrupt the conservatorship. The most recent restraining order says Lufty must stay at least 200 yards away from Spears and can't make disparaging public statements about her, her family, her conservator, or her current manager, according to CNN. I don't like that. It sounds like hush-hush to me. But not everyone feels the conservatorship is a good thing. Some fans think Spears is being controlled and have pushed the conservatorship in and out of the spotlight with the Free Britney movement. A fan site began the Free Britney campaign in 2009 as a response to the conservatorship. Julie Jacobs reported for the New York Times. Even celebrities like Taryn Manning and Miley Cyrus have expressed concern for Spears. Sources close to Spears have insisted that she hasn't been manipulated, saying fans don't grasp the mental health and legal specifics behind the conservatorship. That's one of those backhanded things. You don't understand. Well, I'm autistic, folks. And I've done the research, and I've worked for the state. Believe me when I say I understand. And what you're selling is bullshit. It's ableism. To sit there and tell me I'm not competent for this, 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 and this, when a conservatorship doesn't really give us much opportunity to show that we can be responsible. We have grown out of it because it allows no responsibility. This is why in these sorts of cases I always recommend, again, partial guardianship, which allows you some autonomy, but also is there for those emergencies. We'll probably get into that in another video. This is already 20 minutes long. Okay. Newberry said she found no independent evidence that the conservatorship was harming Spears. The singer's attorney, Stanton Stein, told Newberry that Spears was involved in all career and business decisions. Again, we have to take their word for that. There's no proof of that, nor has she said anything to that effect. Two anonymous sources also told Chloe Millis of CNN that Spears has more control over her life than it appears. Yes, I'm going to take the word of two anonymous sources who refuse to name themselves. Sure, Jan. The conservatorship is not jail. Yes, it is. Larry Rudolph, Spears' manager, told Emily Yar of the Washington Post, "It helps Britney make business decisions and manage her life in ways she can't do on her own right now. Assumes you. Have you given her the chance to? No, because you have complete control over her life and has declared that she can't tie her shoes without you." And Spears has remained incredibly active in her career since the conservatorship has been implemented. To the point of exhaustion, folks. To the point of exhaustion. Let's move on. I didn't think I'd get as much upset about this as I am. I should have known. Until 2019, Spears dropped an album every 2 or 3 years. She also has a 4-year Las Vegas residency. Who knows if she actually wants to live there or not? Not like she gets to make those decisions, right? Her final performance grossed $1.1 million, the highest ever reported for a single theater Las Vegas residency show, according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. That's not to mention her Piece of Me tour in 2018 grossed an estimated $54.6 million, according to touring data. During this time, Spears also launched clothing and perfume lines, landing a luxury fashion campaign, and served as a judge on The X Factor. Anyone thinks this is the Britney effect and not the conservatorship effect? Just saying. But in the beginning of 2019, Spears took a step back from her career to check into a mental health facility, which prompted the Free Britney supporters to express concern yet again. Being in a guardianship wears on the people who are in it. If anyone thinks it's good for your mental health for somebody to have complete control over you when you're a full functioning adult, yeah. Spears put her new Las Vegas residency domination on hold to focus on her mental health. In April, a fan podcast called Britney's Gram released a voicemail from an anonymous source who said he was a former paralegal involved with the conservatorship. He said Spears was forced to go to the mental health facility. The podcast host told Yar that they verified the source's employment but didn't give the specifics. What does that sound like? People trying to shut other people up in the media. In April, a fan podcast called But a source close to Spears told Millis that she checked into the mental health facility voluntarily. Again, we have their word for that. To deal with the serious health issues her father was facing, and because her medication stopped working. And Newberry reported that 3 weeks after she checked in, Spears wrote on Instagram, "Don't believe everything you read and hear." Hold on. It's freezing up. Around this time, Spears' lawyers, while resigned as co-conservator, but didn't give a reason for his resignation. This left her father, Jamie, as sole conservator. This is dangerous. Very dangerous. Complete control over a multi-million freaking empire. Dangerous. Wallet wrote in court filings, the conservatorship is engaged in numerous ongoing business activities requiring immediate attention, and that it was best he resign immediately. Newberry reported. What made him resign? I wonder. Otherwise, Britney Spears would suffer substantial detriment, irreparable harm, and immediate danger, he wrote. But don't elaborate, though. Wallet has said he has prevented the many hundreds of people working with Spears from giving her drugs, saving her from a financial crisis. The resignation might be a sign that he disagreed with Spears' father on the conservatorship terms. A lawyer whom Spears once spoke about contesting the conservatorship told Newberry. Wallet has said he has prevented the many hundreds of people working with Spears from giving her drugs for financial crisis. Oh, sorry. Already read that. Wallet has reported petitioned for a raise. Spears later said she had a difficulty budgetary choices going forward and couldn't afford his services. During a status hearing in May 2019, Spears reportedly asked a judge to consider ending the conservatorship. A close source to Spears told Melez that this was nothing new. Of course she wants it to end, because she's not in the right mental state to understand her issues. Are you kidding me? Really? That is the most ablest shit I've heard in a good long minute. Really? Or maybe, she wants to make her own goddamn decisions as an adult, instead of being treated like a child in her 30s. Maybe. Moving on. A lawyer who said he represented Spears tried to end her conservatorship in 2009, but was denied by